Just when I thought this auction was only going to be for Chris with tools and farm equipment and manly stuff, but look at that beauty. Look at this beauty. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, unfortunately, the decanter ended up being chipped and broken, but there are other treasures here that I am willing to bid on to see if I come home with. Yeah, not a ton, but at least there are some. Now, those horse jingle bells go for good money if it's all in the same piece of leather, but that was all broken into parts. Crocs, you never know. Sometimes they go high, sometimes they go low. Low is when we buy them. But these were all the yummies that Chris saw on Auction Zip that he wanted to try to get. Yes, he is a tool guy, y'all. I know most of you watching already know that, but I don't know. And these are really clean tools, meaning that there's really not a lot of work he has to do with them. So I definitely know that this brought a crowd. Both fell in love with that bar, but it is not for sale. What a tease. But yes, this is a farm. It's a beautiful farm. Some beautiful stuff. They spent 3 months, the family spent 3 months getting it all around. Usually a lot of people have the estate company do it or the auction company, but they chose to do it themselves. Box lots after box lots after box lots. It is cold and rainy, and Chris was not impressed when I said, hey, you kind of look like Santa Claus and you're all black, but he didn't think that was as funny as I thought it was. Oh, did I mention that it was cold and rainy, and it was the longest auction we ever went to? Yeah, it is dark out, y'all. It is dark out, and that wagon that Chris wanted to be at is the very last thing. Oh my gosh, it was so late.
All right, so during the auction, there was a bunch of gas cans that actually had the signage on it. So I was able to pick up 2 of these. The first 2 went way too high that some guy really wanted. But these are the vintage ones. This one has a little dent in it, but they do have the wooden handle on them. So back in the day, your grandparents probably would have used these to fill up for gasoline for their lawnmower. Along with that, and these are still full, is this grease, but it has the Texaco on it, which is usually a big seller also. Towards the end of the auction, Yvonne was able to pick up a couple of little John Deere tractors, and it's funny because about a week, 2 weeks ago, we were setting up the new booth, and a mom went by with her kid and said, well, I don't see any small tractors, so that's why we got these. And then she was able to also get this bulldozer for very little, so that'll at least pay. Then, as Yvonne said during the video, towards the end of the auction, they just ran out of time. I mean, it was dark. I had to use my flashlight to get out to the van. So he just said, grab what you want and we'll auction that off, and then pretty much he called it quits. So she did know that these small hammers, tack hammers, and blacksmith hammers always sell well. I was able to pick up a little hatchet. One of the automated screwdrivers, actually when you push down on it, as you push down on it, you could see the screw head moves, or the head moves, and then you can switch it around in reverse and do the same thing to take it out. Some of the things she got that she wanted were a bunch of brushes. And what are these called? Sweepers, little handheld sweepers. And there were more.
I think we're out of dusters.
So during the auction, she knows these draw knives sell well for us. So she was able to pick these up at a very reasonable price. I think $5 a piece, and I usually get about 20 to 30 depending on if they have any writing on them, which this one does. So when I get that on the buffing wheel, it'll actually clean it up. But when you're going through an auction, they start saying pull the things that you want, and they'll auction them off. I pulled out a couple of Stanley planes thinking that no one wanted them, and a guy outbid me on the one that I actually wanted. But I did get a number 5, so it's a good score. Actually, I'm sorry, this is number 6 Stanley plane. They had a bunch of planes there, but like I said, at 8 o'clock, 8:30, they just ran out of time. More memorabilia. This is a golf for charcoal lighter. The big score of the day, though, was this toolbox. And I don't know if you can really see the size of it.
Ooh, let's move the camera. Now you can. Look how big that. I'm off to the side. I'll let it hit. Okay.
Okay, so the big score of the day was this toolbox for me. This is actually 2 mechanic toolboxes. They have the small drawers for all your gauges and things. And then they still have the front plates on them, so you slide that up underneath and it covers up the toolbox, and then you can lock everything up. But the guy actually went as far as to build his own case for it. So these actually have drawers underneath it. And to give you an idea, this is 5 foot long because he has 2 of the boxes, and he built the case separate. And I got this for a very reasonable price. This will not be for sale though. This is actually going to fit perfect on the workbench that I've installed in the booth, or in our workshop, the studio. So this will be staying here with us. Some other small things. This box, he grouped it as it had a tin, a box, a bunch of stuff in it. But Yvonne was walking through and she did say, oh look, there are some skeleton keys in there. And she liked the box, even though it needs a little glue job. So I was able to pick this up. No one else bid on it. I think I got a whole thing for $2 or $3. She also pointed this out, saying, ooh, I really like that, the wording on it and everything. And I think this was probably for, you would hang your flour bags over it and then they would pour it in. I'm not really sure. It's some bag holder though, as it says.
Hopefully this will come off.
Yeah, somebody wrote down $1.15 on it
We'll see.
at one time. Other things that will stay with us are a buffing wheel. This is basically a grinder, but it's got buffers on it, so that way you can get that nice shine on the metal after you get done cleaning it.
And his big score of the day.
Well, the cheapest score of the day was, he was trying to sell this sandblaster. So it's just one that you would hook up to your airline. You put the particles in there, you squeeze the trigger, and it mixes with the sand, so it blows off the rust off the metal. And no one would bid on it. The guy had all this aggregate with it, which is basically just some sand or silicone or whatever is going to sit there and break apart the metal. And no one had bid on that, so then he throws it in with this one. Now, we've been looking at these for a while, and they're a standalone sandblaster, so he'd put something in it, which it appears that he was still working on something at one time.
Oh, you guys, look at
It's,
hummingbird bells.
but see how it takes the rust off it, and it doesn't damage the metal. So this one does need a little bit of work because the gloves are supposed to be attached to it, and you can see they're all ripped apart.
I just dry rotted.
Yep. Oh, we still got some other stuff in here. An old knife.
What,
And
$10?
a trivet. No, this is a candlestick.
But I think you paid $10 for this.
$10 for everything. You know, just the sand alone is going to cost you, a bag of sand is probably going to be $10, close to $10.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, we are finally dried out. Usually we like to do a haul right when we get home, but we were wet. It was 9 o'clock at night. That is the longest auction we have ever been to. So welcome to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne, and you are on Ginger Chick The Journey, where I love to go shopping with my husband Chris, and we are looking for treasures. We are treasure hunting, looking for items to flip and resell for a profit, items to make over and resell for a profit, or items just to keep for our own home decor or our own workshop. So yes, we do a lot of auctions. So almost every weekend, Chris finds an auction via Auction Zip, which is on the interweb. So yes, so this auction, what you kind of do is you kind of stroll down what auctions are available in your surrounding area, whatever you're willing to drive, and we are usually willing to drive up to 2.5 hours to go to an auction for some goods. So this one was actually semi-local. It was just in the town of Bronson, which was probably 40 minutes away from our new house. So this one attracted Chris because it had a lot of tools, and Chris now has his own booth. It's full of all vintage, older tools, Tonka truck, old rusty, crusty, galvanized, crockery, oil bottles, just you name it, yes. So that is what attracted him, and he sells them. Not only does he repurpose them, not only does he revive them, make them pretty again. Some of them he does sell as is, but a lot of them he cleans up and gets them all pretty and resells them. So he has an amazing booth. If you have not seen pictures of our booth, maybe I'll remember to insert a picture. Many of you have already seen his booth, but just in case, he built that whole shelving unit for the items to display them. The Tonkas he built also. The trough looking thing we got at an auction, the cubby against the wall with a lot of his tools on. Another auction find. Never underestimate what you can find at an auction to use as displays. But with that being said, yes, so some of the auctions we go to isn't just all about me finding home decor. It is about him finding items that he can make over and resell also or keep for his own collection. So that was what attracted us to this auction. The pictures didn't even show any home decor whatsoever. They were all farm equipment, they were all tools, and I'm like, but you need stuff too. You need inventory too. So off we go. So 40 minutes away in the town of Bronson, not far, our old stomping ground, the auctioneer that we used to go every Tuesday night. He has a Tuesday night auction. Love it. It's like one big happy family there when you see the same peoples, but we are too far away to go to it now. It's just too much of a hike at night, especially now that it's dark at night. So it was fun to truck over and see some of the old people that we've seen, or your friends that you've seen from the auction house, but it was pouring rain. And we knew that going into it. So you dress for the weather, you put your layers on, you put your raincoat on top of raincoat, you wear some watertight shoes so your feet aren't getting wet, and then you just truck out. That's what we pickers do. We just truck out, and we are all into the hunt. So I was happy to say there was some treasures for me, so I do have a little bit of a haul. But yeah. And then there was, you did see that big old swung vase. I did not come home with it. I went up to $200 because big old swung vases like that are not something you come across very often. And I do have another big old swung vase in my booth in a glass cabinet, and it has a pricey price tag on it. But sometimes you need those showstoppers. You need somebody to let me look at that item in your booth. It may be priced a little bit on the high side, but you got them to stop. Not only are they going to look at that item, but they're going to take a glance and look at everything else that's in your booth. Hopefully it will get them in there. So yeah, sometimes I will pay up, especially on items like that in our area, you don't see them. You just don't see them. And my glass case is semi-empty right now. We did have two of us that do sell swung vases kind of had somebody come through and buy, which was a blessing, very much a blessing. So I could have used another piece, but she was going to keep that piece. She's another reseller, but she was going to keep that piece for herself in her own collection, so I was happy to hear that. And sometimes, I like to decorate my home. Sometimes I like to decorate my booth too, but I don't want everything so high that you can't buy it. Don't get me wrong. But there are those showstopper pieces that you put in your booth to get people to stop. So anyway, and now that I've rambled on and shared a little bit about booths with you, I just share what I do. I am not an expert by any means of how to run a booth or how to run a business. I just share what works for me, y'all. So let me take this camera down. Actually, I can pick a couple of the pieces up and share with you. We had just trucked over to where the auction was. Luckily, it was locally only 40 minutes away, because there was a couple of workbenches that Chris bought, one for me to make over and sell, and then one for him to use. So we'll share that at the end of the video. He might have something staged for you all in the workshop. He's working on his part. But yeah, I got a few goodies, and I really had to pick the goodies because there was not a lot of home decor at all. Not a lot. So one of the things that I picked up, and actually to go into his booth, were a bronze eagle and a brass eagle. And I absolutely think that they're beautiful. I do see a lot of eagles at auctions, and they do sell. So especially on like his side, now that he has like a guy only, it's not really a guy only booth, but yeah, there's just something about they're beautiful, they're aged, they're beautiful. Other than dusting them off, I won't do anything to these beautiful things. They're heavy. It's like a workout right now. Now this piece I believe has some age on it. It is a scale. I love this little detail of it. Can you see this little, I mean, not, you know, I know it's probably just decorative, but it's pretty cool. It's got a nice little wood. You can see like the patina of every time somebody grabbed it. So it's got some beautiful age on it. I love the patina of the metal. I do not know how old it is, but I think it's a beautiful piece. It's hard to see because it kind of blends in, but yeah, just nice. And they had some plastic grapes on it that were sticky, so they've done their time. That plastic is now becoming something else. And then when I got that scale, they put in this old bottle. It's a number 93. I love stampage on pottery bottles, so I can't read that. If you want to read it, it's in a different language. But yeah, just these nice old crockery liquor. I think they were liquor bottles. They're just really cool, and I know there are collectors of these. So I was kind of being picky at this auction because there was a lot of box lots in that one tent. There was just tons of box lots, and there was only like one or two items, and I'm like, I cannot take all this stuff for one item I want. So with this auction house, the auctioneer that was doing the auction house, what didn't sell at this auction or was left behind at this auction is they're going to be resold again at his auction house. So I did not feel bad leaving things behind to have the family make more money. I could have donated right home, donated it to a thrift store, or I could have sent it on to Rita Stuff, which is the auction house that we use for things, but I chose just to leave it behind for them to be able to resell. So some of the things I grabbed because I just think it's funny. Like, so they got this little dumb cup and the handles in the inside. Sometimes it's just about funny things. And then I thought this sweet little kitty cat, I thought was very sweet, and the flowers are still on there. Normally things I would not have bid on, but they were in boxes. So I thought they were very sweet. A couple other little things that were in boxes was this very old mirror. It just looks like a little, probably back in the day would have came with a little kid's, probably a brush and comb or something. I don't know. I just thought, you know, I think one of the eyes rubbed off, but it looks like she's winking. So, and then just this simple little doll. I thought I don't do a lot with dolls, but she just stole my heart. Her braid is just immaculate. It's so pretty. She's got little cowboy boots that do not come off. Yeah. So I just thought, I don't know much about her, but I thought she was definitely a little pretty doll. Now these these I bid on, and I was like, you know, you sit there at an auction and you're looking at things and you're going, oh my gosh, okay, so what am I going to pay for this item? What do I think I can get for this item? Am I keeping this item for myself? If I kept everything for myself, my house, I would be a hoarder, y'all. But so I saw these and I'm like, I just love the patina. I love everything about these. And I'm like, oh, I'll pay, you know, X amount of money for them, you know, because I think they're beautiful. And you're just like, oh, nobody wanted them. Look at these old binoculars. Oh, y'all, look at the metal, that old, like, I think it's like, was like a leather that is worn. Oh my, oh, these are everything beautiful. Day, night, you gotta get in the right light. Like, so the eyepieces say something but it needs dust. These are beautiful. They are beautiful. I don't know if I have a place for them because my cabinets are really my cabinets are really full. But they're gorgeous. They are gorgeous. Look at that aged patina on there. Oh, my heart. And then yeah, nobody wanted them. Why not? Oh, anyway, they did have another. What did he call it? An Indian stick. He called it an Indian stick. You never know at auctions what they're going to call something. You know, I collect these juggling pins, exercise weights, whatever you want. I love the ones with the stripes. I do have a few in my booth to resell that don't have the stripes. So I'm kind of changing out for the stripe ones and then selling the other ones in my retail booth because, you know, it's kind of like what you do as a thrifter, picker, or a reseller. You kind of like, okay, well, I like that one just a tad more for whatever reason because of the stripes. So, yes. So in another box that I picked for a couple bucks, there was this little wooden toy in there. Look at that. So then you swing it around, and then they all peck at the ground. I'm like, oh my gosh. So not in a language I can, but I thought, oh my gosh, that is just so cute. I didn't see any brokenness on it or anything. I just thought, oh my gosh, that is just a fun little toy. Fun toy. And then in another box, like I said, so they were like $2 boxes or something. You got to dig through them, and not everybody, you would be surprised, not everybody likes to dig through boxes. I don't know why. So I did find a piece of Pyrex, though it's, you know, it's part of a nesting set. So it's missing the rust, but it's in good, other than dirty, it's in good shape. And somebody might just need this one piece. And then it's always good, even though you're like, oh, it's just a bowl, you know, it's just a bowl, but it's a McCoy bowl. So other than, I mean, I think most of that wears from when it was made, and then it has some staining because it's old, but it's a nice piece, yes. So just, you know, always, you know, I know people will say, why are you looking at the bottom? Why are you looking at the bottom? Well, you want to see if there's a maker's mark or not, plain and simple. So yeah, I was kind of surprised. I'm like, well, that's a nice, you know, I could tell it was nice when I touched it. Like there's a feel to them. And I'm like, oh, a nice McCoy bowl. And then another box that I got for a couple bucks, it was a beautiful, look at that, beautiful thermos. And then this little thermos was in there that I don't think is anything, but I thought I would grab it anyway. It has its top on it still, so this is that nice fall color. And there are people that collect thermoses, so I did bid on, like, so what was the grouping with this one? So the grouping was this. So we had this brass set of swans that I have actually bought and sold a couple times. They're just nice patina pair of swans. And then it was paired with this Coca-Cola bottle opener. And then this cast iron little red speckle. I think it's an ashtray maybe. Do you think it's an ashtray? I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. So one of the great deals I think is a great deal is this beautiful mantle clock. Oh, I don't know the age. It's made in Germany. Chris absolutely loves these clocks. So it's got the beautiful mechanism. It's got the beautiful chimes. It had the key. That is huge. A lot of times you'll see these and they will not have a key. So we have a mantle clock that my sister got us as our wedding gift. So it's almost 30 years old. And then we have another mantle clock that Chris got, and it is 1912. It's from 1912. I don't know this one's date. I don't think that this is not as old, but it is just absolutely gorgeous. It is a Welly, W-E-L-L. Well, I don't know, or is that hell? I don't know. There you go. I don't know if there's enough glare on it, but I'll Google Lens it, check it out. There's something about a mantle clock. It's just, It's just beautiful. So another weird find, like, you don't always just look at the tops of tables to make sure you check out the backs of table, like what's underneath tables. So there were these two, and then I started bidding on them, and everybody's like, but y'all, they didn't turn them around. Nobody turned them around. Look at those cute little mushrooms other than needing a bath. They're just nice vintage little planters. Look at the tree bark planters, and there's 2 of them. How cute are these? I don't know what they're not heavy. I can't tell you what the material is of that, what material this is, but pretty darn cool. So I'm like, y'all, you didn't see the mushrooms. So we're going into the season of ice skating, so I did pick up a pair of ice skates, not only for decor, but because we are surrounded by lakes, where, not so much where I live now, but where our mall is, a lot of people actually do come in and look for ice skates secondhand. And an antique store is a great place that people want to have multiple sizes for their family, friends, their kids, their grandkids, the neighbors' kids. So yeah, so not only do I put them on sleds and stuff like that for decor, but I will just put them in singly, just so people, like, hey, everybody I don't know how to skate though, but yeah, so there's that. So, don't always think that you have to decorate them up. Towards the end of the auction, he finally got to the tools that most of the men were waiting for, and there was only like a dozen people left. And then it was pick off the wagon, like just pick off, tell me what you want me to try to sell, which I don't know about you, but we women, we grab and we're like, I'll take that. The guys were just like, they were like, I just wait for somebody else to pick it, except there was an older gentleman and he knew exactly what he wanted. But so there was this box of light bulbs and I picked this thing up and I'm like, what kind of light bulb is that? It's kind of dirty, but apparently you stick this in the sun and it spins. And I thought, that is so cool. So, I mean, yeah, I'm like, I want that. I don't know if I'm spinning it or the light is spinning it. I think the light is spinning it. So, yeah, just being in the barn, it didn't spin because it was getting to be dark. But I thought that's just a cool, fun, odd piece. And they had this, at this auction, they had not gotten rid of one of their TVs at all. All their stereos, all their record players, all the TVs from probably the day they were married were there. And it's hard because they don't sell. It's so hard. And they didn't have the pictures of them, so it didn't bring the crowd that would buy them. But in a random box, I did see a little, I don't know if this is to one of the TVs or if it's a flash, but it's just, it's a little bulb. It could be a flash. But just, I don't know, that industrial, I love that industrial vibe, that steampunk vibe. And I'm like, I'm keeping this because it's cool. And it's funny because when I'm looking at it, it reminds me of something to go with a TV because when my image is shown in it, it's upside down. My image is upside down. Remember, there's something weird about how TVs worked. I guess I didn't study that hard when I was in school, but I love the little industrial vibes. So on a random shelf that had all those jars of screws and nuts and oh my goodness, he had a ton of stuff, were some flower frogs. And I just wanted this amber one. I have a ton of the white ones. And then the pots, the pots that I bought, the mushroom pots, they had dirt in them. So when I was in the field, I dumped them out. And then these little marbles came out. So can I tell you all a story? So if you've been to an auction, and especially this auction, cold, rainy, you want to leave. A couple people had brought their kids, and they were buying. And, I have kids, and you all love kids. I know you do. So this little boy, so they have a pick. And a gentleman's talking to me that used to work with my husband, and he's distracted me from bidding, which is, it's hard. It's hard because they just want to keep moving. And I'm like, just you know, because there was a jar of marbles. Now, marbles don't really sell. We buy them, they don't really sell. So there's a jar of marbles, and it's only like that, and they're old, and there's some jadeite ones that shine. I shined our light on it, and this little boy was eyeballing those marbles. He's like, I just want that shooter marble. I just want that shooter, you know. And we're talking, it's going on 6 o'clock at night. So probably from 9 to 6, because you get there early to look. He just wanted the shooter marble. And this gentleman that keeps talking to me missed the bidding. We missed the bidding, so we didn't get to bid on it. And it was only $3. They put that jar in with all of the nuts and bolts and everything like that. And so he was a scrapper, so he was buying the big old bolts and stuff like that because he was going to scrap them. He saw the value of scrapping those pieces in these glass jars, and that little boy just really wanted. And I should have had the next pick. And I could tell that the gentleman that distracted me from bidding was going to grab those marbles. Like, do you just get that woman's intuition? You just get that vibe that he wanted those marbles so bad that he was going to overpick me. And you know I'm a ginger. And I'm like, and that little boy wanted those marbles. And I know that marbles don't really sell very well. So finally the older gentleman was picking, and I was getting that vibe because he kept just the other gentleman. We know who he is. Anyway, yes, he can be like that. So I just went ahead and asked the older gentleman that got the first pick, for the $3 pick, if he would pick those marbles for that little boy, and I would pay him for them, so the other guy wasn't going to try to step in front of me. Auctions, you want to say there's friends at auctions, but there isn't. It's hard. You have to know what your price is. You have to know. And when we went back to pick up the workbenches this morning, the lady was saying, yeah, we watch people carrying out boxes. They literally stole stuff from us. We were looking for a crescent wrench that we needed, and somebody stole the crescent wrench. And, it's so sad that there's that 1% that just ruined it for everything. And, that made that little boy's day to get that jar of marbles. And like I said, if there were 30 marbles in there, come on, And so it's funny. I went ahead and did that. I just was feeling it in my heart. So the gentleman came up to me and he goes, oh, somebody bought that little boy those marbles. And he goes, it made me sad. He's 75 years old. He goes, it made me sad. And I guess it made the little boy happy. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I didn't tell him it was me that bought, I couldn't help it. Anyway, yes, I know. I was probably, I don't know, would you all have done that? I don't know. Sometimes you just do things because you're like, this is just right. It's just right. And then the guy was telling me about all the jugs of marbles, and he just collects them. And I understand the collection of marble. I get to be a collector. But, you just hope that kindness, when somebody's kind to somebody else, that they will be kind to somebody else. So even when they're little, you got to start it when they're little. And we had a little, one of those little purple black lights we always have on our keychain. And I'm like, Chris, can you give that to that little boy? Because the marbles are cool in themselves, but the glowy ones are even cooler, even though I don't have them to show you because we gave them to the little boy. The glowy ones are really cool. And, that's just those little things that you share. Like the grandpa and the dad that were with, they didn't know how, they thought the little boy had took them. I'm like, no, I did. I don't want anything for him. He just wanted those marbles, and I just, I had kids. I love that. I would love somebody to do that for my children someday. Well, they're older now, but yeah. And I said, he needs this little light to show his friends how they glow, because that's really cool. So anyway, let's get back to this haul. I hope you enjoyed that story. So talk about glowy stuff. There was a box lot in the tent, and nobody was bidding on it. And I'm like, I think that glows. And I'm like, okay, for $1, I'll take it. And it glows, y'all. It's hard to see in the dark here, but you can see or in the light. It's hard to see, but yes. And then they're like, no, that's not Vaseline. That doesn't glow. Well, I think the older colors are not the green of the depression, like the green depression that's really green. Yeah, no, I felt as if this was a little bit older, and it was, it's just, glowy glass. I don't know if it started off clear and then over time with the uranium in there, if that was what makes like this color, but I felt as if it was going to be a glowy piece. And there's no chips, cracks, or anything, so this is actually an older piece, but can you see that glow? So it is, and I thought, like I told her, I didn't have my light on me anymore. But well, I didn't have the light on me because Chris had the keys. I don't ever always. So I just, for $1, I thought I'll take my chance. And then another box lot. I'm like, there wasn't really anything in the box, but there was this little jadeite piece, which is an ashtray, which is also. It's glowy. This one glows too, so this is an older piece also. And people that collect jadeite will collect that. Ashtray collectors, there's ashtray collectors, collect that. And I just thought, I knew it was older because it was an ashtray, and then I felt like it would glow. So value, I have no idea. We got a fun little owl. What is this called? Macrame? Not macrame. Oh, what is it called? Hook and yarn. I don't remember right now. Sometimes words just leave you. So there was this fun little owl. Love those eyes and the little plastic nose, little beak. It's cute. And then there was this other one. Look at him. How fun is that? Both fun pieces. Just how fun are those? Now, I don't do a lot of lamp buying, but I don't know. This is solid brass. This lamp, y'all, is solid brass. And then it has a bell. I don't know what the symbol is. I know that it's like, so it's got a dragon, serpent, so it's Chinese. It's definitely, by that cord, is an older piece. But I thought it was really unique. I have not looked it up yet. Does it have a finial? Nope, it's just a little bit of a finial. But that is a cool lamp. I mean, I don't know anything about lamps, but when you have that gut feeling, you just take the chance. It's got a little patina going on there. I won't clean that off. That's if somebody eventually buys it, then they can clean it off. So then in a whole box, there were a whole bunch of rosaries. And somehow now I have, for my Bible collection, started picking up rosaries. So they're just, I don't know. I love them on my Bible stacks. They're just beautiful. This one's a wood one. Oh my gosh, see? They're just beautiful. And maybe y'all have drawer full of rosaries too. Oh, that one's got some weight to it. Just fun little rosaries. And then these beautiful crosses came with it. And then a couple of them still have the candles, like these two. It's here. So you would have put the candles here in remembrance, And then my first holy water bottle. There's no holy water in it, but I have yet to get a holy water bottle. I know it seems weird. I know. I just have a passion. So, and then it's sad that this one is broken. This rosary. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. The beadwork. This reminds me of what the priest would have wore. Cricket cages. I'm not sure if this is a cricket cage or what this is, but that would look cool with some greenery in it. I think I can get that cork out and some lights. And then a minnow bucket. Now the minnow bucket, guys can use for what they are, or women like to actually put lights in them and then it illuminates through all the holes. Such a cool decor piece. And then a couple other pieces that I got was this, I think candles, plants, whatever you want. I think it has a cool mid-century modern vibe going on to it. It's a pretty good size. Pretty good size. And then this little stool I also got. And apparently at one time they must have sold all their garden goods. So I bought this whole sign. Oh, look at that one's. There's nothing on those. I can make something on those. Yeah. So it's the little guy's tipping over there. So they would have hung it on this for sale sign, and then all those, I'm glad there's some empty ones. So yeah, I'm glad there's some empty ones because I can put some wording on it. Now I have bought and resold. It's funny because I'm thinking now, when I go to make a sign, I'm going to stop putting the hanger on the back and I'm going to start putting hooks on the front because that's what sells. So if people really think that they're vintage and they think, oh, somebody really did use this to sell their pickles, yeah, it's funny because when I was making them, I was putting the hook on the back for them to hang it, and they didn't sell, so I took the hook out, But I'm realizing it's this little, because they're two-sided. Oop, hit myself in the head. Yeah. So yeah, the last few that I bought, I sold for like $18 a piece. And so I got all that for minimal, couple bucks, because then at the auction, this was the last building before we went into the tools, and like it was really mostly all guys left, so they didn't want any, of the signage. So that was it for auction haul. I'll take you out, show you what Chris is doing with the workshop and what he's doing with his fun little treasures that he got, because he was going to build little cubbies for behind his workbench where the bowling alley didn't fit. So that's awesome. So here we are. We went back the next morning. They'd let you in at 9 to pick up anything that you couldn't take with you. If we could have took it with us, it was dark. It would have been really hard to take all this stuff apart. So this is a workbench that he saw use for in the new shop for himself, where he could do his tool cleaning. Luckily, it does come apart. Oh, but that top it's heavy. So yes, we did get the red workbench, but can you not see this in somebody's kitchen, either against the wall or on the island? It needs, it's beautiful as is, but it does need, if you're going to use it, it was a workbench, so it needs some help. And then the vise is probably will go to auction. It looks like it's been welded and repaired. Going to take the vise off, probably figure out how to fill in the holes, some pegs or something, and then we'll see how much of this paint. You can tell that it was red, and then they painted it black. It's got some tiles in there, of course. Oh, look, it's the old linoleum. But yeah, you want to make it be usable. Yeah, you want to definitely make sure that the doors can open. Oh, there you go. So it has some shelving. So we will make that be better. It's nothing terribly special, but it's still pretty darn cool, y'all. So we will. That'll be a project piece probably pretty soon. I like the red, but I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'll see how it cleans up. Red has never necessarily always been a wonderful seller, but yeah. And then the red on the sides is a hardy board, but I know probably the side that I'm on here that there's another piece. It's chippy and there's some blue showing or something. So we'll see how it cleans up. It's heavy. Underneath too, so that's nice for those.
Well, that outlet plugs into a 125 volt, 20 amp. Not into that.
So what he needs a table for is his clean of tools. So it's got that board on it. I always forget what the board's called, but it has a hard so it doesn't soak into the wood. It's already used and abused, so that's perfectly fine. I personally love the shelf. He's like, well, I don't really need, but you kind of do. Once you have a shelf, you're like, oh yeah, that shelf would be nice. But yes, he makes quite a mess when he starts to put his tools in solution and he's grinding them and all that. So that's what I saw the workbench for. So I'm glad he had the same vision, and minimal, I think like $35 he gave for it. But it was a beast to move, but I think he's pretty happy with his purchase. Then talk about a God wink moment that those double toolboxes with the homemade stand fit. They are a perfect fit for this side of his workbench. Oh my gosh. I said, Chris, you have to believe in God wink moments. What is the chances of that? So if you can't tell, even though I have to do voiceovers because he's watching a football game, it's a pretty cool thing. You know, that patina, the age, the keys are still with it. I'm sure he will find what he's going to put in it someday when we totally get this studio shop organized. Thank you so much for watching today's video, going and checking out some of the auction with us. So let me know down in the comments, would you, when you saw it was going to rain, would you have not have gone at all? Or would you have been like us, get out there, dress warm, look for those treasures, those unforeseen treasures that you don't even know they're out there, even though you didn't see them in pictures, because they do not picture everything in auctions of what they may have. So you have to know if they're doing an estate auction that it's usually household goods are going to go with it. So you just have to take your chance. Now, a while back, there was an auction that it was all just for Chris, and that was the auction that I got that $40 box of all ironstone. So just keep that in mind. If I have spiked your interest in auctions, because really I don't have time anymore. I can't get away from painting to do Goodwill. It's too far away. I don't have thrift stores to go to, and we're in October now, so the garage sales are gone. I can't go out and spend a whole day going from sale to sale. I might hit an estate sale here or there if there's enough. Estate sales a lot of times will almost picture everything. On estatesale.net is where I look up estate sales, my local estate sales. And they usually will have everything pictured. Auctions, not so much. Estate sales usually have almost everything pictured. You got to scroll in on the pictures if they're not fuzzy, but they have almost everything pictured. So let me know in the comments below, do you think we were just plain crazy being out in that weather all day or not? So thanks again for watching, guys. We love you all, and we will see you next time, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.